please rise for the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, I must have had my mic off. Apologize. Will the city recorder please call roll?
Mayor Jacola,
Present.
Council President Steinhebel. Here. Councilor Dykstra,
Here.
Councilor Mann,
Here.
Councilor Salvage,
Here.
Councilor Ulfers,
Here.
Councilor Workman.
We'll roll into consent calendar. All the following items are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussions on these items unless councilor so requests. In that case, the item will be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately. Agenda, Lebanon City Council Agenda, December 11, 2024. Approval to award engineering service contract, Cheetah Lake. Board minutes, Parks, Trees and Trails Advisory Committee, July 17, 2024. Canvassing election results, general presidential election, November 5th, 2024. Council minutes, November 13th, 2024. Joint Planning Commission and City Council work session, November 13th, 2024. Work session and regular session. Liquor license, game time, sports bar and grill. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made to approve. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We got one presentation tonight, Lebanon Downtown Association Executive Director Shelley Jackala.
You get both of us.
Yeah,
Just saying.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dayla. I apologize.
lucky you guys. No. Well, I actually wanted to start off and say the picture that we put on the front of our annual report, every one of the buildings in this picture has received either a Main Street grant or a Oregon Parks and Rec or a city grant. So every one of those buildings have been restored or refurbished in some way because of grants from the city and the state. So I just thought that was pretty neat when I was looking at the picture. So this year, our 2025 priorities is to, our main goal is to have a lively downtown, and it is a premier destination for locals and for tourists to come and visit. And we have put on so many different activities and tried to draw the people into the downtown. And one of the things that we are trying to do for the merchants downtown is we are having a membership campaign. We are looking at doing it by a membership instead of just across the board, to have people pay into it and to help offset some of the cost, and where we can be independent without the city funds all the time, because eventually we know that they are not going to be here anymore for us. So,
And everything
Yeah.
that we've talked about as well with the downtown merchants is that they are in favor of having a membership because it's a buy-in for them. And Shelley's time has been pulled here and there. So coming up with the membership campaign is really a detriment to our downtown for it to grow and to thrive, because so much of her time is spent doing different things. And if they become part of this, then they have more of her to be able to take and pick and pull her apart even more than what they're doing. But it's really going to be financially, I think that it is going to be in the good, because it's going to enable us to continue to build our accounts so that we can independently get away from the city of Lebanon at some point in the next 3 years or so.
And then this is just our mission statement and our vision, which hasn't changed over the last few years. So we can go to the next one, please. Okay.
So as you can see that we've actually grown our board of directors. We have a really solid board of directors right now. We have Chris Shears as the vice president. Robert Rogers just took on our treasurer position, and he's also a certified CPA as well. We have,
Christina is the secretary.
yes, Christina, what's her last name?
Poitier, something, I don't know how to say it.
Anyway, from JC Barbecue. We have Jill Barnes from RKI Insurance. We have Nancy from St. Am Excursion Trains. We have Rachel who owns H&B House. And then we have Opa,
Alvy Farley.
Alvy Farley. I call him Opa because that's what his business is, so I always call him Opa. So it's really a strong, we did a strategic planning in November, and it was really positive to get these new people together and have them all on the same page. So it was really enlightening for me to see that happen, because that's the first time we've had a complete full board and everybody was on the same page. So it's a great retreat.
And our core values are the same too. Okay. We have welcomed 11 new businesses into the downtown this year. And that isn't necessarily because businesses left and new ones came in. Most of them were either vacant spaces. The Wells Fargo building, we have the gym and Castle Property Management. The Century Tech was the, as I always say, the biker club. So now it's a retail and repair place. And then we have like Dark Bloom was one building and they made it into two businesses. The Strawberry Bliss was vacant. So a lot of them were like vacant places that have been that way for years. And yeah, so it was nice. We only currently have 2 locations in downtown that do not have a business in it, and they're remodeling or doing things so nobody can really, or 3, no one can actually move into them right now. So as soon as they get finished, then hopefully we'll get them rented. And we have added to our webpage a section on when properties become available or for sale in the downtown. So you can go on the Downtown Association webpage and find what is available in the downtown. So that's something that we just added within the last month. So,
Going to talk a little bit about the First Fridays. Our First Fridays were every Friday during the year. We are actually still going to continue those, but we're going to consolidate them into 4. So we'll do them on a quarterly where we'll have a large amount of exciting things happening on those quarterly ones instead of monthly where we put a lot of resources into one night. So that's also going to be a really cool thing that we have coming up. I know we have some stuff for Strawberry Festival and Christmas time and that type of stuff, so.
and the one thing that we do to keep the Downtown Association in connection with the merchants down is we do have monthly merchant meetings. So the first Tuesday of every month, we have a location. We did have one location. Now we're kind of spreading it out. So it's where people can get into other businesses. And because a lot of the business owners down there, they don't even realize what's downtown because they're in their own shops during the operating hours. And so the new business gets to highlight what they do. You get to see it, and the merchants come in and we talk, and kind of they're the ones who said that they would rather have the quarterly First Fridays instead of monthly because it is expensive, and it's, you know, trying to keep the excitement going. And then when, you know, in the wintertime when, you know, 10 people are out for a First Friday, it's kind of defeating for them to stay open and put money into not a lot of people showing up because no one likes to go out in the rain and the cold. Then we have our promotion and marketing. The LDA uses a variety of tools for marketing and promotions, and we have our events that go on downtown. We have our webpage. We have videos. We have the newsletter that goes out every month to try to where they can post their events on there. We post flyers. for them. On our Facebook page, we're always updating what's going on downtown. Economic Vitality has started going around a couple times a week, excuse me, and taking pictures and posting of new merchandise that's came in a store, or a special that's going on here or there, or a new movie is out. And that has created a lot of excitement on social media to get people down there. The bookstore, I posted a little thing on there, and she said that 3 or 4 moms came in that day and bought Christmas books, and they didn't even know the bookstore was downtown. So that was nice. We, on social media, we did 50 spotlight businesses this year so far. So 50 different businesses have had their own spotlight on the Facebook page. In our monthly newsletter, we have a taste of downtown, and we highlight different restaurants. It can just be as simple as if you're wanting sweet treats in the summertime, or a bowl of soup in the winter. These are the different downtown businesses that carry those things, and to get people in for the specials. And we did create a restaurant guide that is at a variety of different places, and Boulder Falls has it at their hotel. So when people are coming down there and staying, if they need a place to go eat, it's our downtown restaurant guide that they can grab and find a place to go and eat in our downtown. We had our classic car show this year, and this was the first year that we actually had well, it's the third one, but where they had to fill out a form and sign it and pay to enter the car show. Before it was just free the last 2 years. And by doing this, we were able to get some revenue in the Downtown Association, and we were able to see who was coming to our car shows. And we had 12 different cities that people came from to come into the downtown and show their cars and shop and eat. And we had 2 restaurants that actually sold out of certain foods on that day from so many people coming down there. We had 6 different trophies to hand out, and I think we had like 60 some cars. I actually didn't write that down, I'm sorry. But we had a lot of interest and a lot of excitement for that. Yeah, we kind of covered the First Friday. So we had 12 First Fridays this year, and about the most that we had for our First Friday was, I think it was probably the eating and drinking up around the world this year, and we had almost 100 people that came to that one. So First Fridays are hard. We can have 10 people or 100 people. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. The concerts in the park?
So yeah, I was just gonna say, so the next several events that she's gonna talk about, one of our goals and objectives is to grow these. We're already getting them where they are growing, but in 2025, we really want to see them grow. So we are really working the social media piece and getting better quality people to come in so that we can grow this to make better funding for the LDA.
Last year, we did move the concerts in the park to Academy Square, and we had like maybe 3 different vendors, and it was from people from downtown, and we let them just come for free because they're from downtown, and we are not really in the downtown. But this year, we opened it up to anybody that wanted to. The downtown merchants still got to be at the concerts in the park for free because we're not there. But the other people had to pay. And we had 13 different vendors that came this year. We had 7 concerts. And the last couple of concerts, we had almost 400 people there. And we had 18 sponsors that helped out with paying for the concerts. So we're hoping next year, I don't know, we have 1,000 people. The movies in the park, we had just our same 3 sponsors. We really didn't, the 3 people that sponsored it the previous year wanted to come back, and so we didn't really seek anything else out for that. So Breezy Concrete, the Jalot Home Team, and Cafe Rock sponsor the movies for us. We had 4 different movies this year. We had 6 the previous year, but I think it was a little much. So I think 4 is enough. And we did open it up to the sponsor or to the vendors as well. And we had 6 different vendors that came to the movies in the park. And we had on the average around 100 people that came to it, 100 to 120. The Barbie movie was the best one this year, so. The downtown wine walk, we had around 125 people that showed up for that, or that actually bought tickets. More people came to the downtown, but not everybody bought the tickets to taste the wine. We had the most vineyards that we've ever had, and they said they ever had it. Each vendor, we really, because they get paid some for coming, and then we keep some from it, and we paid them out over $100 a piece for the vendors. And they said, like, last year, some of them were like, yeah, we made like, I don't know, $7. So yeah, so they were happy, and they said they definitely wanted to come back. And more of the merchants actually participated and had them in their stores, the vineyards. So that was, it was a very successful one. It was a beautiful day. We are doing it on a different weekend because it was the Lynn County Fair, and there was a really good artists that were there. So I think we would have even done better if we had a different weekend. The Downtown Historic Walk was actually just last weekend. And with the weather, I was expecting less, but we had about 65 people that showed up. And they were excited because they did get to go into the Wells Fargo building, and everyone was so happy that they did not paint over the mural in the Wells Fargo building. So if that was weighing on anyone's mind, they did not paint over it. It's a really neat gym. The vault was open, and they're using that as, I think it's where you like pick up the bars and then you drop them on the floor, because they said it's soundproof. So that's what they're using the vault for now. And then Sam's Place was on the tour too, and they still have the copper ceiling with the belt fans. So that was something that was fun to be able to look at. And they went on the steam train and the depot. So it was a good turnout. And that is, we do that with Build Lebanon Trails and the Lebanon Museum Foundation, and Wyatt King was the leader this year of the tour. Our downtown trick or treat was actually amazing this year. It was the best that I've ever seen it. We had it all the way from City Hall and then past actually the Legion to the State Farm. And I know it went from 11 to 2, and the police, you guys brought, what was it, 1,250 pieces of candy, and by like 12:15 or something, they were out. So, I mean, and there was a lot of people. My sister said that she had like 4,000 pieces of candy and she had none left over. So I don't know how many people actually came out to it, but a lot came out, and we had the costume contest, and we had KRKT, and Breezy was playing music. There was music everywhere. It was a great day. Okay. So we do try very hard to keep the downtown looking pretty, and the city definitely helps with the efforts that we try. I know Jason sometimes gets tired of me calling him, asking him to do things for me. But the cool little bench that we have there, which I need to plant flowers in, and I will this spring. I was down there asking him about something else, and he goes, I have 2 of these. Would you like them downtown anywhere? And I said, absolutely. I think they're so neat. So he put them out for us. And then this year, we, instead of going in Ralston Park, because the Build Lebanon Trails cleans that and puts the bark dust out and stuff, we just called it a Main Street maintenance weekend. And Sunbelt, they,
AKA board meeting.
yeah.
Board members.
Yeah.
Board
and-
members did it.
Yeah, and a few husbands that we talk into doing it with us.
And the mayor was there, of course.
Well, that was one of the husbands. Yeah, and the city donated pressure washers and hoses and bark dust and Sunbelt rentals. They gave us some more pressure washers to use, and it was just a weekend that everybody got together and cleaned up the sidewalks and picked up the trash and cleaned the flagpole holes and stuff. So I think that's what we're going to probably do again this year.
I think some of the feedback from cleaning the downtown was that we really need to get our businesses involved. It shouldn't just be board members down there pressure washing all the sidewalks. So we have to come up with some genius idea of how we can get more incentives to the businesses to clean in front of their businesses and keep them clean. So that's something that I think the board's going to be working on ways to incentivize the businesses to get involved and have pride in front of their business on the sidewalks.
This, I don't, the writing, oh, it's probably because it's white. It doesn't have the background showing, but it's okay. This is the downtown, art in downtown. As you see, these are all new art boards. They were all put up this year. There's one more, and they had to fix the frame on it that needs to go up there. But Strawberry Plaza looks really good. Gary Marks is going to repair the totem pole. I think that the city's going to take it down and get it out of the weather. And then after the first of the year, he's going to start working on that. And also there's some dents in the strawberry. And he knows the person that made the strawberry that said that they would come and take the dents out for the city. So we'll get it looking all good again. This year, instead of doing the quirky turkeys, we did bike art in the downtown. The turkeys are fairly expensive, and the merchants didn't want to spend I think we're going to do them next year, but we decided to do the bikes because the police department donated the bikes to us. So there was no cost to the merchants other than what they wanted to decorate them with. It was nice to not have to take them in and out. They were just chained to the light post. By the end, there were a little bit, couple missing seats and handlebars, but other than that, they did stay intact pretty well. They were out for about a month and a half. So I don't know, maybe turkeys next year, we'll come up with something. The mural project, as you can see, the Lebanon mural is finished. The butterfly mural is. So they all got completed this year. We have a couple more in the works for possibly next year. So that's all in that one. Flags along Main Street. We have 9 days out of the year that we put the flags out. We have some local volunteers. We have, I think the robotics wants to take over. They have already told me, but then the Legion had said that they would like to volunteer to put them out too. So we'll see if next year we can get different groups to help us with those. And then this grants in the downtown. Over 2023 and 24, the Downtown Association helped get $140,000 grants into the downtown. We had the Wells Fargo building, Wisteria House received 2 grants. Camellia's Candles did, my local hotspot did, and then Josh Mitchell, he received 2 different grants as well for his building.
And we have a $400,000 grant that's coming up through the state of Oregon that we have 5 people interested at this time for it, so.
This, we can skip this because this was last year's. Thank you. So just a little recap of everything that we just went through. And this year we had 12 newsletters go out, 12 First Fridays, 12 merchant meetings, 50 spotlight businesses or sponsors of the week, 7 concerts, 4 movies, 9 flags went out on Main Street, 3 different downtown tours that we assisted with, a wine walk, a car show, community cleanup day, downtown trick or treat, a 5K, 1 mile, shop small. The Main Street, we had a Main Street workshop that we did with Main Street America. We helped with the tools of the trade and welcome week for the college. We have a restaurant guide. Banners went out on, oh yeah, I forgot about the senior banners that we did this year. And we had the art in the Strawberry Plaza, and we helped with $140,000 in grants. So that's kind of a recap of our year.
All righty, thank you. Is there any questions? All righty, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we go into public comments, I'd like to invite up Lynn County Commissioner Sherry Springer to give some remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Very few remarks and very quick, and actually it's just congratulations. You and the city of Sweet Home did not only an outstanding job, but a very effective job at mitigating the drawdown for Green Peter. And I know that you were highly concerned about your citizens' water, as you should be, and even to keep it drinkable was extremely expensive. And on behalf of Commissioner Nyquist and Commissioner Tucker, we simply want to say congratulations. I've worked with that BIOPS since I was a legislator starting in 2008, and I never accomplished what you and the city of Sweet Home have accomplished, and kudos to you for that.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move into public comment. Citizens may address the council by filling out a testimony comment card prior to speaking and hand it to the city recorder. Each citizen is provided 5 minutes to provide comments to the council. The council may take an additional 2 minutes to ask clarifying questions. City recorder will accept and distribute written comments at the speaker's request. So we'll move into this. Remember, you have 5 minutes. When it's green, you're good. When it's yellow,
Okay, still on here.
yeah.
Okay, they were under.
Yeah. So when it's yellow, you got 1 minute. When it's red, you're done. So 5 minutes is a long time. So, and we do look forward to hearing what you have to say. So first up tonight is Dave McLean.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great evening. I wrote out a little speech here so I can go through it faster and probably sound more intelligent. Good evening. Just for the record, I am David McLean, Counselor-elect for Ward 2. I am here tonight to specifically address Ordinance 3031 and the effect it will have on Lebanon. Today's decisions are tomorrow's consequences. I oppose this new ordinance in so many ways that I don't know where to begin. First off, a tax exemption of this kind puts the burden of taxes on others, which is fundamentally wrong. Let us be clear, nonprofits that push for this are looking at their bottom line. They are trying to limit costs to get a better return on their investment and pay the salaries of its administrators and returns for its investors. I have been in business a long time. When asked what my priorities are, I say, treat everyone fairly and pay your taxes. I understand the public good argument put forward previously. If passed, this ordinance will invite more 501(c) companies to come to Lebanon and build. They will literally come out of the woodwork. They will build low-income apartments and fundamentally change Lebanon forever. Remember, Oregon is a sanctuary state, and anytime you take money from the state or federal government, you will do their bidding. Just a side note, Crossroads has received around $1.6 million from the federal government. It seems to be the new craze. Our citizens do not want that. They do not want more taxes, burdens, or apartments, especially after the recent increase in water rates. Seems like bad timing to be asking for something like this. It creates doubt, mistrust, and a platform for conspiracy theories. These nonprofits do not pay taxes but require city services, police and fire protection, medical and school services, and adds to crime and traffic congestion due to the density of housing. In recent years, a few of Lebanon's buildings have been changed to tax exempt status. Look no further than the old Walmart or the real estate across from Old Sherry's. We are losing revenue, not gaining it in these cases, but our costs are going up dramatically. It has contributed to our deficit problems, to say the least. This type of thinking and mentality does not bode well for our citizens. If you want the people to be disgruntled and not trust you, this is a good way to do it. I would encourage you to either postpone this vote so more research can be done to show its effect on the city, or simply put it on the ballot and let the residents of Lebanon decide if they want to pay for it in May. Don't try to go around this mountain, climb on top of it. This is something I would not use my political capital on. I, for one, would like to know how much in detail the city will lose from a tax exemption like this and what the benefits would be from doing it. I believe the folks pushing this are well-meaning and they feel they are doing a great service to Lebanon. To a degree, they are. However, for most people here, they cannot afford new, more, or higher taxes, nor do they want to enrich someone else when they are struggling. They just want to be safe and prosperous, raise their families, and feel their elected officials have their backs and are looking out for them and not having to worry about politics. They just want to go about their lives. I think we should revisit what developers pay for fees and improvements to shorten our budget gap. In addition, I would not oppose a capital gains tax on commercial properties that are sold by these same developers. We can copy that law if we can copy the state's 307-540 ordinance. It is simple. A budget comes down to two things: income or expenses. We should focus more on our income and not so much on spending or giving away. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up is Mark Bornowski.
I'm going to decline.
Okay. Janet Blair. Ward 2.
I'm Janet Blair. I live in Ward 2, and I've lived in Lebanon since 1984. I'm a homeowner, and I'm also speaking about Ordinance 3031, and just wondering why it's not being put on the ballot in May. And I'm wondering why it's not being put on the ballot. So instead of passing it as a city ordinance, because the taxes that I've been paying in Lebanon for 25 years, the property taxes have gone up a lot. They're very high. And this will only raise them more. It seems to me like single-family dwellings are shrinking and we're getting more apartments in. I think that's pretty obvious to everyone, and I think the city council is aware of that. And to bring in more low-income housing doesn't actually seem to make good economic sense to the people, to the homeowners here in Lebanon. So I see a shrinking tax base. I don't see anything going forward. Also, I don't think the people are really aware of this. And so I would encourage you to hold off and maybe table this ordinance, or I don't know what the procedure is, according to your protocols, but I believe that it belongs on the ballot, and the people in Lebanon need to be more informed. I agree with the comments that Mr. McLean made, and so I'm not going to take the whole 5 minutes. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next up, Jeremy Guthner.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Gunther. I'm a citizen here in Lebanon, and I'm here to echo the prior two speakers. Essentially, what you're asking to do is wealth redistribution. Take from those who have money and give to those who you believe do not. But one of my problems here is that typically those low-income people are also those who vote to give themselves more money. A really good example of this is something the board just did recently. You increased the water bill, and I get the argument that the prior board put us in a lot of debt, really sucks, don't love it, but you increased the water bill disproportionately. So those low-income people who probably voted, on average, not all of them, but on average, voted for the policies that put us in debt, no longer have to bear the consequences of that vote. Rather, those of us who did not want those policies and voted in this new council are the ones who now have to bear the consequences for all that debt. And it seems to me like this nonprofit tax exemption would be right along the same lines. Those of us who are actually paying our bills are going to have to shoulder the burden for those who do not pay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one will be Kate Cortez.
I'm Kay Cortez, and I reside at 310 North Second. Mayor Kenneth Chicola, Frank Stevenson, Ron Whitlatch, and the city council meetings. I've been trying to get back, but there is no excuse, but I'm here. I will never forget 1 year ago, October 2023, the city council passed a four-way stop on North Second and Mary. It has been beneficial for many of the citizens who travel to make it safer in our neighborhood. I and others who live close by agree. Not too much longer after that, the maintenance department improved some of the worst part of our intersection, and we're grateful for that too. I do want to commend the Lebanon Police Department for continued surveillance on the property 2 doors up above us. They continue to blare their music at all hours. Some of our neighbors, including myself, reported it, and they took care of it. Ongoing, I reported the same property not clean, cars parked on the street broken down and parked in the yellow. They continued to not comply, and I continued to report them. I have no animosity towards anyone, but I do expect them to comply and respect the law enforcement. Thanks to Kevin Bukai, he gave them 2 weeks to clean it up, and they would be cited. They did comply. Vehicles continue to get reported that were broken down, and recently they complied to remove off the street. As I was driving by one day on the same address, I noticed something strange on the curb, different color than the yellow curb. Someone from that residence painted over the yellow so they could continue parking where they don't belong. It's visible. They spray painted gray and yellow, still see clear through it. I did report it to that, sending pictures to the chief, Ron, city council, and Jason Rush. The update on that is that Sergeant Minor and Officer Hessel are currently working on the case and have an idea who has done it. Per se, they are in hiding, but eventually they'll be caught. It will get repainted. A few days ago, I called Ron and I asked him if the city council was having a workshop today. He said no, and my heart just about dropped for a moment, but I couldn't tell him why. So on behalf of Pizza Hut, they will be gifting a meal on January 8th on your next workshop, and I'll pick it up and deliver. Thank you for everything that you do, your dedication, your loyalty, your hard work, and your diligence. It doesn't go unnoticed. You are valued and appreciated more than you'll ever know. I appreciate everything that you have done for my neighborhood and make it safe, not only for us, but for many citizens who travel through. Respectfully, Kay Cortez.
Thank you.
And I have a thank you note for the manager for Pizza Hut.
Thank you so much.
And you have to excuse me, but I have to leave to take care of my.
Okay. Next up, Gamal Nassar.
That was very nice what Miss Kate said. Good evening, Mayor, councilors, staff, good evening. This is on behalf of myself and a few others that couldn't make it. And so Councilor Elfers, we wanted to let you know how much we appreciate your time, energy, and commitment to the city of Lebanon as a city councilor. We know at times it's a thankless job, and at times the decisions are difficult to make, but we want to publicly thank you for your dedication to making this city the best that it can be. It is the content of one's character that makes them shine in any community, and the time that you have given to your fellow veterans, our houseless population, and those in need, that time is unparalleled. You and I may disagree on some issues, and let's face it, we'll probably never agree. But what one can always agree on is that KJ will always be there for someone in need and certainly for his community. Your many community awards have proven that. Your heart is golden. Your time spent working for Lebanon's residents is uplifting. It's uplifting this area, and it's unparalleled. And for that, we thank you and appreciate you, Councilor KJ. Thank you. I have a family family medical matter to get to, so I can't stay. So thank you, everyone, again, for all your commitment and time to the city, and we all certainly appreciate it.
Thank you. That concludes the public comments. We'll move into regular session. First up is Resolution 2024-29. We'll have Julie Jackson please come up and present.
Good evening. I am pleased to be here tonight to talk to you about a couple of things. One is the annual rate adjustment that we look at, and I'm trying to find where I have that. I'm trying to walk the talk and not bring a whole pile of paper that I just go back and recycle. So here I am with my laptop. For some reason. I have it. And I have it pretty memorized too, actually. We did want to point out that this year's increase is 3.2%. At the time when that calculation is made on June 30th, if you remember, it's a year-over-year comparison of CPI. June 30th to June 30th. At that time, CPI was 3.1%. I found it, so I guess I'm good, right? And so I think this is just how this is supposed to work. It's right at CPI, and we think it's a pretty reasonable amount given that other utilities are going up significantly higher. I think the reason this is so low this year and reasonable is that we saw fuel rates continue to go down, and there's a fuel component in that calculation as well. So fuel went down. It took the biggest drop last year, but then this year it went down as well. The increase is about 97 cents per customer on average. And I can answer questions about that if you have any. I also included information in the packet about the Recycling Modernization Act, and I'd like to update you on that. But if you want to ask questions, we can get that part done first if you like.
Any questions from council?
Great. Let me tell you just a quick update on the Recycling Modernization Act. You've heard me talk about it for about 3 years. We've been working really hard with the state on that. It comes to fruition July 1st, 2025. So at that point, you will see some new materials that can go in your recycle cart, and we think that's always a good thing for people when you can put it in your recycle cart and not in your trash. For some people, they may be able to downsize their recycling cart and save money, actually, if they're good recyclers. You will see information coming out about that in the late spring. This is a state program, so we're waiting for their information to come out and be ready for us to localize for Lebanon and all the communities around here. They tell us that we'll see it probably at the end of May or in June, so I wouldn't expect it way before the process begins, but you will see that information letting you know about some new materials that can be recycled. Another thing I wanted to touch bases on are the events that we had. I know one of the concerns you had was that that there was no place to drop off cardboard and there was no place to drop off electronics and some other things. And so what we did last year was we added 4 little half-day events where we came and we sent a driver over with a trailer and we collected electronics and recycling and cardboard, those big items that people have a hard time getting rid of. What we had was 40 people in February, so that was great. We had 56 people at the regular recycle event in May. In August, we had 3 people attend, and in November, we had 1 person attend. So we're looking at that and thinking, okay, well, how can we make this work better? We also had a hazardous waste event that we hold in Eastland County, and that had 200 people attend, which was up from the year before. And I think that's great to get that hazardous material out of people's homes and dispose of it properly. And remember, there's no charge for that for households as well. So what we're suggesting is that we do 2 of those extra recycle events throughout the year and see if we can promote them a little better and see if we can get some more participation at those events. The other thing is that we put a cardboard container because one of the concerns was there was no place to put cardboard for people who bought a new TV and needed to have a place for a big piece of cardboard. So we did put a recycling container there for cardboard. It isn't very well utilized, and I think it's probably because people don't know that they can use it. So we're kind of asking for the city's help. We'd like to make up a flyer that can go on the city's website. We've got information on our website. And I think a sign on the actual container letting people know that it's available to the community for cardboard collection. So we just have a driver who goes by there whenever, weekly, when they're in town for other cardboard collection, and they look at it. And so we know it's not being very well utilized. So I think we can do a better job of that and a better job of the other recycling events. So those are kind of the things that I had for you tonight, but I would love your opinion on the recycling events. We want to make it work for the community.
Julie, are you talking about the cardboard container at Ralston Park?
I am.
So we had that removed.
I saw, that was
just about a
recent,
week or 2 ago.
Yeah.
So what we were having is people were putting household trash in it, and they were dragging all the cardboard out and leaving it around the park. So if we can come up with a better location for that, I'm all for it. But it was causing a lot of problems over there.
We really want to work with you. I think cardboard especially is one of those things, there's really a need for it. So if there's a place that we could even make a locking container maybe to put cardboard, we'd be happy to work with you on that. I think there's a need for it, and we'd like to do that.
Okay, let us look for a spot for that.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if there's a place on city property, something that has gates at night, or, those tend to be the best places. And our recycling depot in Corvallis and in Albany are locked at night. We can't allow those to be open either. Same things happen. So.
All righty. Is there any other questions or comments?
Are you good with reducing those recycle events to twice a year with better promotion? And and if those become really successful, we'll go back to 4. We just, it's kind of tough to send a driver for 1 person.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I think that makes sense for you guys.
Yeah, and
But
earlier
better
in the year.
promotion,
Yeah.
because I never I get an Allied Waste bill email and I don't ever know when these events are.
You know, we put it on, I'm not even going to make an excuse. I think we could promote it better. We've got some ideas about promoting it better, so we'll do that.
I was just going to say earlier in the year, it seems like those are better. People are cleaning their homes after the holidays and whatnot. So keeping those, front loaded towards the beginning of the year, I think would be better.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan. All right,
Any other questions or comments?
great, thank you.
All righty, thank you so much. Will the city attorney please read the title of the resolution?
Resolution number 2024-29, a resolution repealing resolution number 2023-18 and approving Republic Services rate increases.
All righty, is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion's been made to approve. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next up on the regular session is City of Lebanon Strategic Plan Adoption. Director Hart.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Before you tonight is the proposed adoption of our 5-year strategic plan. As you recall, we have been working on the strategic plan since early spring, and we've had some pretty significant engagement with the City Council, our leadership team, and city staff to help develop a new set of mission, vision, and values for the organization, and a roadmap which included some action items to help guide policy decisions, resource allocation, and service delivery for the next 5 years. At our last city council meeting, we had a pretty robust conversation about the strategic plan where we introduced the whole list of action items with our consultant team. So I am not going to go over the plan in detail. But after the presentation, we did release the plan for comment to council and to all of staff for a period of time. At the close of that period, we had received a total of 6 comments from city staff who indicated support for the plan and identified that it was a good representation of the city's direction. And so we had a pretty good support from our staff at that point. So since we did that review, if council, what we'll do tonight is sort of go over our what's next. So if council adopts plan tonight, we'll begin the implementation process, which we've kind of already done if you look at some of the action items that are on the list. And we'll develop a reporting framework that will be easy for the departments to develop a report and a status on each of the action items. And it'll provide a consistent and measurable system to track the progress of the plan. And then the plan is to provide a strategic plan update twice a year, once during council goal setting and budget preparation process at the beginning of the calendar year, and then once during mid-year, sometime during the summer, so that you can get an update of the progress. And since we are at our first adoption, the first update you guys will receive will be next summer sometime. This plan is intended to be a working document. So as we review it annually during council goals and budget sessions, the action items may be adjusted or added, and some may be eliminated based off of new information, based off of budgets, grants, different priorities. However, the goal is to always align the action items with the strategic plan's mission, vision, and values. And so before I conclude, I really want to take a quick moment to thank all of the staff who participated in the strategic planning process. As we continue on the implementation, we will look for continued opportunities for engagement. And a lot of the action items, there's a strategic focus on engagement through the process as well. And so as part of our engagement process through the strategic plan, we actually had a little incentive for staff to participate. And so our consultants Did a randomizing of the names and virtually picked a name out of the hat for the prize for that participation. And so I get to announce that our GIS systems coordinator, Casey McMillan, is the winner of that lovely prize. And so we will make sure that Casey gets that winnings before the holiday season. And so with that, I'm happy to conclude my report and recommend the adoption of the strategic plan. And Ron and I are available to answer any questions.
One thing I will say is we had a lot of staff help on this, but Kelly deserves the credit. She's the one that led the charge on this, and I really appreciate her efforts on this, and so should everybody else. Sorry, I had to do that.
You didn't.
All righty. Is there any other questions? We've been talking about this for a while now. I think it's a great document, gives the staff direction with the input of the council. So can ask for a better product. So if there's no other questions or other comments from council, okay, is there a motion?
Do we need the resolution or?
Just a motion.
No, move to
Motion.
approve.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made to approve.
Twice.
It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, I just wanted to say, I see a lot of new faces in the audience tonight. That's encouraging. I'm happy, but usually that means that there's something that was on the agenda that people either disagreed with or wanted to voice their opinion about. I will say that if you feel, when you come to these meetings, sometimes people see how we conduct them and they move quite quickly sometimes, and people wonder. Trust me, we've done the proper due diligence on all this. We've visited all these issues many times over the course of the year in a council meetings, special sessions, and reviewing documents. So these are usually the decision points where we're actually making the final decision after all that due diligence has been done. So if you feel like, wow, they're really going through this stuff, trust me, we've went a long journey through some of these issues. So we're going to move on to Ordinance Bill 2024-15, Ordinance 3031. Director Hart.
So before you tonight is a proposed ordinance for consideration of the nonprofit corporation low-income housing exemption. This item originally came before you in March of 2024 as a request from a nonprofit organization in our community to consider this exemption. There was 2 discussions during the spring. The item was then put on hold to consider our budget considerations, and then we brought it back to council in October originally again. So this is our 4th conversation on this item. Some really quick statistics for this exemption. Currently, there are 2 properties in the city that are eligible for this exemption. One property that's eligible for this exemption is also eligible for a different tax exemption itself. And so without the overlap, the city's financial impact, if this exemption were to be approved, is about $6,000 currently. My understanding is that the nonprofit organization has purchased an additional single-family home, and so that would be an additional impact of potentially $3,000 or so as well. So about a net of $9,000 to the city in terms of actual financial impact. This would be a new tax exemption that the city is considering. An example that the city has in terms of impact of surrounding cities is the city of Albany in terms of how often this tax exemption is utilized in comparison to others. The city of Albany has had this tax exemption on its books since 1993. And a total of 9 properties in Albany have utilized this tax exemption. So it is not widely utilized in comparison to others. Now, if under consideration is this nonprofit corporation owned low-income housing tax exemption, It is an opt-in exemption, which council would need to take action on to authorize it. To qualify, the organization needs to be identified as a 501c3 or 4, as a nonprofit organization. And all units on the property would need to be set aside as affordable housing. Per state statute, the first year, the units would need to be 60% area median income or below. And then the next year and beyond, it can jump up to 80% area median income or below. There are additional requirements as part of the application procedures, but they're form and process usually. This process itself would only exempt the city's portion of the property tax exemption. In order for the property to experience a full exemption, 51% of all the taxing entities would need to agree to it. So in the staff report, I identified what those taxing entities are. So for example, the city is 27.6% of the apportionment of property tax. Lynn County is 19.8%. And the school district is 28.6%. So any combination of 2 out of those 3, if those would approve it, then the property would be fully exempt of property tax. But at this point in time, the city is only considering the exemption of the city's proportionment of property taxes. The nonprofit entities would be responsible for going to those other agencies and making this request of those other agencies themselves to try to get that full proportionment. And so under consideration is the adoption of the property tax exemption. If it were to be approved, it would be an administrative review process through the city of properties that make the request. And it is something that has to be reviewed annually per state law for them to reaffirm that the property is owned by a nonprofit, that they are meeting the income levels, and that they meet the requirements of the ORS. So it is not a guarantee that they maintain the exemption every year. They have to re-up it basically. So with that, I can conclude my reports, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, I'd like to start off by entering this into the record. The Shannon and Lisa Spring, residents of Lebanon, wrote to us. For dear council members, we would like to register our disapproval of the plan to allow more low-income housing to be built in our already overburdened community. Perhaps it's time to attract businesses that improve the livability of Lebanon instead of draining its resources. So anyhow, I'd like to thank this Springs for offering that up. Is there any other questions or comments from council?
I have a question, or maybe 2. So we've discussed this quite a bit over the last few meetings. I wanted a little clarification on a lot of the bigger apartment complexes in Lebanon. There's only a handful or 1 or 2 that are low-income housing. Is the reason they don't qualify for this because they are for-profit? Is that correct?
Correct.
And most low-income housing is for-profit.
Correct.
So it is what I'm gathering is this is a rare event that a nonprofit engages in providing housing.
It is not unheard of, which is why the tax exemption exists, but it is not readily done.
Use a different word than rare.
Yes.
More than rare, but less than often.
Yes. So that's why I use the example from Albany, where over 30 years in the entirety of Albany's development, only 9 properties have utilized this exemption. That identifies a less than often usage of it, right? So it is not something that we're going to all of a sudden see a mass influx of properties utilizing this exemption.
Do we have any now?
You have 2 properties that are currently eligible for it now. One of those 2 is also eligible for a different tax exemption that they're not actually using this tax exemption.
The one that's not using this tax exemption, I assume they're already exempt from taxes through something else?
Yeah,
Okay, so we're really just talking about one at this point.
currently,
So, and that total is 6,000 a year?
currently.
So I guess to clarify, I mean, we know there are other low-income apartments in town. And I just want to clarify this, they are already covered by other non-city tax exempt status pieces, like at the state or federal level. Does my question make sense?
Yeah, so in the previous staff report that I provided in September, it looks like I listed off 6 other types of tax exemptions that currently exist based off of what was provided to me from the county. That other properties are currently afforded in Lebanon, that are currently being utilized in Lebanon, that is not this. So those other properties are providing affordable housing, that they have other types of tax exemptions that are currently available to them. This is a different type of tax exemption.
Okay.
To follow up on that, those tax exemptions, let's pick an apartment complex in town that's low income, like Queen Anne Apartments. It's getting tax exemptions through the federal government. Is it also getting tax exemptions from its property taxes in Lebanon?
Yeah, through the low income special assessment program, which
That's
is
a federal,
local.
is that a federal?
So I'm not an expert on each different property.
I don't, okay.
Don't look at me.
I don't want to, let's not single that
Mouth
one
open
out.
like you were going to say something.
I was going
So-
to say, don't look at me.
No, so I'm not an expert in terms of how each individual affordable housing property has gotten their exemptions. So you receive tax credits, which are usually federal funds, for the development of it. And then you receive tax exemptions, which are through property tax exemptions, which are state taxes, which is like this low income special assessment program. Those are your property tax exemptions, right? So you receive federal funds to help develop it, which is the tax credits. And then you have the property taxes themselves, which are exempted through these programs that were listed in the staff reports and September.
Okay, I think I'll ask it a little better. There's currently no low-income housing in Lebanon that's getting property tax exemptions by means of decisions of Lebanon. Lebanon has not made decisions in the past that are giving them tax breaks, correct?
I do.
These are state and federal programs that allow them to get out of their property
I
taxes.
believe so. So there's the low income special assessment program, which is a program that's just 100% opted by the state. That's not an opt-in program. There's the agricultural workforce housing exemption program, which again, that's not an opt-in program. There's the essential community provider long-term care facility program. That's not an opt-in one. There's ORS 307.092, which is Lynn Benton Housing Authority. Again, not an opt-in program. And then there is an actual special legislative action providing tax exemption for a single property for a period of time. So that wasn't Lebanon, but that was a specific legislative action at state level. So yeah, based off of this list, this would be the first one that Lebanon specifically per ORS would have to opt into.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Kelly, I know we worked on this together. I can't remember if I asked this question. We all know how much pressure we're under from the state to show that we're making progress on affordable housing and providing more housing. Does this help at all in reporting to the state or letting the state know that we're doing what we can to, you know, not that we have to agree with everything the state puts out there, but once it's a law, we kind of have to follow it, so.
Yeah, so as part of our housing production strategy, we identify a couple of action items to pursue or to consider exemptions. None of it has locked us into doing anything. But this one, which is $6,000 to less than $10,000 realistically, is incredibly low impact, which will let us check that box and say that we're doing something without adopting anything much larger like what some of our counterparts are doing. And so that it's an easier avenue to be able to say that we are participating without having to do a larger exemption that eventually the state might say that we have to do. But it is not required now, but it does help.
Any other questions or comments?
No, I just want to reiterate, I had asked this in a previous meeting. We can't put a cap on the amount, correct?
We cannot. The state says per ORS that the city is allowed to make additional requirements. But those additional requirements are in terms of like the application or the restrictions, like we can further restrict how much of affordability we want the units to be. But we can't pick and choose how many or who gets the exemption. It is an opt-in or an opt-out.
I have a process question. If we move on this tonight, or if we move on this maybe in February, are we still able, is this still able to be realized in September or no, excuse me, November for their taxes?
So in the application deadline is March 1st. And so this does not qualify as an urgency ordinance. And so that means that there is a 30-day implementation deadline period. And so if we waited until, say, February, we would not be able to act on the ordinance until mid-March. And so for this purposes, for the specific request, we would not meet that, no.
Well, I want to be respectful for the counselor-elect that spoke tonight. Clearly, this is something he's passionate about, and I don't know what the temperature of council is on this, but perhaps tabling it until January. There's one member of council that I know can't vote already on this. But what does council think of that? If I were to put that forward.
You two look like you're about to open your mouth, so please.
I initially, when this came up, it was right when we were discussing implementing a service fee, and I thought, well, this is terrible timing for, terrible timing. We're talking about increasing, putting a fee on our taxpayers, and while someone's asking for an exemption. That was about probably 8 months ago, 6 months ago. I had warmed up to the idea because of how little of an impact it has on our tax base, and I do think Crossroads is doing an exceptional job. But I also think that this is kind of that lame duck period we're in, and I don't want to make decision on something that people are passionate about when we have an incoming council that could provide, I guess, differing opinions on this than the limited votes we have here tonight. So I'm for tabling it.
I think it's a good idea. Tabling it. I wouldn't mind tabling it for a month and come back at it in January.
Takes a motion.
I move to table the ordinance discussion until January for a vote once new council is sworn in.
Second.
Motion's been made to table it until January, until new council is seated. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes to table.
One abstain.
Sorry, one abstain. We'll move on to department reports. City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Just a few things. I won't go through the whole report. Cascades West Area Commission on Transportation. We're due new members coming up. We have to have that by, I believe it's January 31st. So we have time to think about that, but currently Councilor Steinhable is the primary on that committee.
Councilor Steinhable requests to be removed from that committee.
Denied.
So you guys can all rock, paper, scissors for
You're out of
it.
order.
I think we have new, you know what, we have new members coming in. I think this would be a great opportunity for us to discuss in January as well.
Yes, and that's fine. I just want to bring it up so that people are thinking about it. I am the alternate, and I'm assuming that I'll probably still be stuck being the alternate. So, yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. So another thing we have coming up on January 22nd, which is our normal noon council meeting time at the Lebanon Library. Excuse me. Council training, ethics training. It's required, and yes, it is required because it is new. It was put forth by the legislature in 23, right, Julie? And it's a requirement of all elected officials, and myself and Brandon, I believe, have to attend this too. So there'll be other cities there. It's being put on by League of Oregon Cities?
Oregon Ethics Commission.
Okay, Oregon Ethics Commission. So there'll be, this will be at the library. I will be sending out an email, or Julie will be sending out an email with a link for you to register. It requires a registration, so we'll get that out to you this week or first part of next week. And so stay tuned for more information on that, but that is on the 22nd at noon, and it's a 2.5-hour training. So we started working on budget. So we're moving forward on next fiscal year budget. We started that as a director team this morning and are moving forward on that and working on ClearGov. And I'm sure some, if not all of you, have heard the complaints about Ziply Fiber. We've been getting a lot of complaints. They are doing a massive fiber lay over the city right now, and they have multiple permits and multiple contractors. I have to say, Ziply themselves have been really good to work with, but their contractors have hit a lot of utilities. We're making some changes internally. We're going to actually put a staff person with that will monitor them on a daily basis to help with some of this. It's really hard to monitor from the office, so I'm assigning a staff person to that. And then we, as you get emails, if you get emails as council, you can send them to me. We've got a process in place where we can then get them to Ziply, because most of the complaints we're getting is in areas where there's public utility easements on people's property. So we will be working with them and doing a little bit of a change there. So, but if you do hear things, please reach out to me and let me know. And we'll make corrections as best as we can with that. With that, I don't have anything else unless you've got questions for me.
All righty, thank you. Is there any items from council?
Yeah, I just want to
Addition?
follow up on the Ziply piece. I know I reached out today with some complaints from Ward 3 about some of the muddy streets over on the Mountain River area, as well as like Park. Trying to think of what else. I think the muddy streets was probably the biggest thing. Complaints about door hangers. They didn't feel like there was enough time, like enough heads up. So just, I do appreciate the fact that we're going to have somebody from the city out there. Oh, the other piece was the uncovered water holes on the sidewalks. I don't know what they're called, but you know what I'm talking about.
They're boring, or potholes for where they're boring. So yeah, that's a big no-no. So we've been
But
all over that.
just appreciate the ability to be able to pass that along, and that there's a process in place for that. So thank you for following up on all of that.
If we could get somebody from the city to go out and look at traffic at the intersection of Galena Loop and 8th Street, with possible doing a no parking painting, like 15 to 20 feet from the intersection. It's pretty congested and people are having a hard time seeing around parked vehicles.
What was the streets again?
Galena Loop
Okay.
and 8th Street.
Sure, absolutely. Typically, we can paint back to 25 feet per ordinance. So yeah, we'll take a look at that. It may not happen right now, but when we do our painting again. So Galena and 8, absolutely.
Thank
I
you.
will pass that on to him.
Any other items from council? All righty. You know, tonight is, we have 2 counselors that they're completing their terms. We would like to recognize them. They, when you do this job, you dedicate a lot of time and effort. I want to commend both of them for their time on council, and I want to express a thank you, because not a lot of people a lot of people like to complain, but they don't want to step up and do these type of jobs, and they're very difficult. So we want to publicly recognize them. So first up, let's bring Wayne. Will you please come up, Wayne? Wayne was our city councilor, Ward 1, from January 13th, 2021 to December 31st, 2024, in recognition and appreciation for many years of commitment, accomplishment, and contribute to the city of Lebanon.
My pleasure.
Kim, please. City Councilor, Ward 2, October 13th, 2021 to December 31st, 2024. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Again, thank you. Well, the next thing is there any additional public or press comments? We'll give you opportunity. No. Next scheduled council meeting, January 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m. and city council training, January 22nd, 2024 at noon. At this time, we're going to close the regular session and move into executive session, and we will do that at 7:30. So. reconvene in regular session. So we're talking about city manager contract approval. City attorney is looking up some information on city charter.
I didn't think you were going to put me on the spot right away. I thought there'd be some discussion before I had to address that.
Well, in executive section, we reviewed the proposed city manager employment agreement for Ron Whitlatch in the city of Lebanon, and happy to report that I think council reached a consensus, and I would like to move for approval for the city manager contract for naming Ron Whitlatch as our city manager.
Second.
Motion's been made to approve the contract. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You
Aye.
can vote. I was just going to answer the question before you voted,
Oh.
because I think there's a different motion.
Okay, I withdraw my motion.
Gosh darn, we're not on the
Roll
same
my
page
eye.
tonight. So here's the answer. It says thereafter, unless the requirement that the city manager be a resident of the city shall be a requirement unless modified by the city council. So I do believe that all the city council has to do is approve the contract and say aye, and we modify the requirement in the charter that requires the city manager to be a resident within the city of Lebanon.
Do we have to note that that's specifically for this city manager?
Just for this one.
Okay.
Well, it's the only one that has that requirement, so I guess.
I just think like if
We
in
had to
10
do it
years, if we
for
do this
Oh.
again, and we
Nancy,
didn't
too.
negate,
She
we
lived in
didn't
Corvallis.
blast the city charter.
No, we're not changing that. We
Okay,
can't change
all
the
right.
charter.
So
That's a
did you
whole
want to make a new motion?
Do we want to talk about salary at all? I mean, how we came to the salary? I thought you guys had asked more questions.
That's the salary my memory's not perfect, but that seems really online with the salary we were talking about when we went out for the job.
Yeah, it's right in the ballpark. It wasn't any high asked. I thought it was very reasonable, well within the parameters of a city this size and his experience and all that kind of stuff. So it really wasn't anything that did we even negotiate at all, other than we came up with a number that was
No,
that was fair?
it's in the middle of the salary range that the city has for that.
So we need two motions, one, it's still just one.
You can do it. Whatever makes more sense to you, as long as both of those are addressed.
So you want to approve
Residency
him
piece.
and modify the residency requirement in the same motion.
Okay. All right. I had it all,
not
and
too
now I'm not ready.
add-
All right, here we go.
add
Okay, I
residents.
would like to move to approve the city manager contract for Ron Whitlatch with an exception for the residency requirement as previously approved by council, waiving the residency requirement as
Perfect motion.
previously approved
Second.
by council.
Motion's been made to approve the contract and have an exemption for residency, and it's been seconded. All in favor?
I
All opposed? Motion passes.
just want to note that our city manager does live within 97355 Lebanon, but not in city limits. Correct. And has for decades. Okay, that's good.
Sign that again if you want to change that period. No. All righty, I think that does it for the night. So again, I want to thank Wayne and KJ for your service to our community. It's much appreciated.
I want to thank the council for bringing me up to speed. A whole new ballgame for me. I really appreciate you. You're a great group of people to work with.
You both did an outstanding job
This
on
is the end
council.
of 12 years serving the city for me. 8 years on budget committee and 4 years here. And only keep one thing in mind, Ken. Psilocybin. That's how
I
you
will.
say it.
I will.
So we're not going to see you on the budget committee?
Huh?
We're not going to see you on the budget committee?
I haven't been asked. One of my counselors have to ask me to be on that. That's not likely to happen.
Yeah, it's open. All righty. Well, thank you again. Thanks, everybody. And Ron, Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Trey?
Thank you.
Thank you.
About time.
And at this time, this meeting is adjourned at 7:49.